The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight is the government looking to reform its agreement with the Grand Bahama Port Authority. We talk about that, and it's all any of you could talk about today. You're still talking about that, the whole Grand Bahama Port Authority tribunal versus the government, all of that. But here's what else you're talking about tonight. Killarney. So you must have gotten wind that it's temperature check, and tonight we are looking at the constituency of Killarney. It's all coming up tonight, straight ahead for you. Good evening. This is Beyond the Headlines. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. We begin tonight. The government's interpretation of the tribunal ruling, of course, is something that everyone is talking about. There were several news conferences yesterday. The Prime Minister made a national address last evening, and then he spoke to it once more in Parliament. That's earlier today. Well, this evening we're going to get into discussing this and really talk about exactly what it means for Grand Bahama going forward. Is the government looking to perhaps reform and revisit the agreement or the terms of the agreement? We are starting with all of that right now this evening. And so joining me this evening is the Minister of National Security, Wayne Munro. It's good to have you here, Minister Munro. Good evening to you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening, Shanique. It's good to be with you, if only virtually.
Yeah, I know, right? Normally you are here sitting next to me, but let's move right along. That's fine.
Yes.
Is the ruling and the partial arbitration the beginning of moving away from an agreement that many feel might not necessarily meet the needs of a 21st century Grand Bahama? And what I mean by that is, are there now plans to reform the Hawksbill Creek Agreement in light of the ruling?
Well, Shanique, it was a ruling of a dispute raised under the agreement, and the dispute was laid out. On the government side, it was asserted that the Port Authority owed money in terms of reimbursement under a clause in the Hawksbill Creek Agreement, but the tribunal found that it's better placed under an agreement that the FNM made to what one would say, seek to compromise a dispute and to work something out. And then there was the issue that has been very vexing about whether the government has regulatory control in Grand Bahama. So you could, not Grand Bahama, sorry, Freeport. And so you could remember when we were passing telecommunications regulations and energy regulations, issues about whether the government had regulatory control. So all of that was captured in the issue that was determined partially by this arbitration tribunal. And we say partially because they have said three things really. The first thing is that yes, the Grand Bahama Port Authority has an obligation to reimburse the government, but under the agreement with the FNM and not under the original agreement, because they see it as replacing it. And then secondly, the Grand Bahama Port Authority made counterclaims that were dismissed, except for one where they said, yes, the government delayed in approving your environmental regulations, but guess what? We can't really see how you've suffered any loss, because that's to regulate persons doing business, and you have to see that you have lost. So if you could say, yes, the government should have done it, they didn't do it, show me what you've lost. And the tribunal said they couldn't see it, but of course, they wait to be enlightened. And then the most important was when the tribunal says, yes, indeed, something that had been disputed for years and years, the government is still the government in Freeport. The Port Authority is not the central government in Freeport, and the government retains the right to regulate. Now, there is a fact that if the Port Authority does not like the interpretation in this binding arbitration, they might wish to exit, or they might wish to approach to get a restatement. But on the face of it, the arbitration tribunal just said, look, in the words of the chairman of the PLP, you got to pay them what you owe them. And yeah, they were slow in approving your regulation, but you have to show us where that caused you any loss. And yes, they can regulate things in Grand Bahama. And yes, there's still the government in Grand Bahama, particularly in this part of Grand Bahama, Freeport,
Right.
where for ages people were asserting that the government couldn't regulate, couldn't do that, and that was for the Port Authority.
But
To me,
that,
that's the most important finding in the whole thing, because money comes and goes, but that issue of sovereignty, the ability to regulate,
right,
is
is a very important aspect of this whole thing that you mentioned. And I spoke with people from Grand Bahama today, and I was told from youth to the regular person, they were quite happy with that same very aspect that you highlighted. But let's be real, the Freeport area, which is governed by the Port Authority for 71 years, appeared to be this sort of untouchable, self-governed area by the Grand Bahama Port Authority. How has that impacted not just Freeport in 71 years, but also maybe government as well, and when it comes to revenue?
Let me say this, and I will focus back, and it may not be seen to be answering the question, but let me say this. I have worked along with Philip Edward Brave Davis, KC, in court. And what I saw set out in his approach to this whole thing is what is significant. He actually, in the early part of his career, lived and worked in Grand Bahama. And so he has a special connection to Grand Bahama. And I think the Bahamas must understand that. So for instance, at one point I had a little small office in Mario Donato's office with my law firm there. But Philip Edward Brave Davis lived and worked in Grand Bahama, and he tells a story about how he felt he was supposed to be running in the then Marco City seat in Grand Bahama. So this is a man that that's not a passing acquaintance for him. So he's a family island man from Cat Island, so he understands the plight, the struggles of the family island people. He lived in New Providence, so he understands that. But he spent significant time in Grand Bahama. So all of these matters that were vindicated in this partial award were things that he would have lived with in his practice, in his career. He would have been hearing this. So to the people of Grand Bahama, let me say this to you. The Prime Minister of this country, Philip Edward Brave Davis, knows your plight, feels your plight, because he lived it. And so that is a part, and when I reflect on the passion with which he spoke about this arbitration, that explains it, because he lived it, he knew it.
Right.
And
So
what is so sad, Shanique, is he's now in New Providence. But look at the reaction of the people who still live in there. These opposition members who got
Okay,
to look
let's talk
people
about
in the face
so let's
day.
talk about what the opposition said, because you didn't answer. I wanted to know, how were the people in 71 years affected poorly by this Hawksbill Creek agreement that was renewed or revisited sometime, I think, in the 90s, I'm understanding. But the opposition says, listen, this is not the win the government says it is, because it's been a waste of time, of money, of resources that could have been better placed and put elsewhere. How do you think, Minister Monroe, that this was money well spent, or is money well spent? Because it's partial, that means it's ongoing and there are other parts to it. But that the people do and will benefit.
Shanique, The licensees of the Grand Bahama Port Authority have been complaining for quite some time. And if the people who say they're from there, who say this is F&M country, thinks that it is money not well spent to get a positive binding ruling that no, there is no king in Grand Bahama called the Grand Bahama Port Authority, I wish all the licensees of the port should take notice of this. All of the people in Grand Bahama should take notice of this. These people who had the ability, when 5 of them were there, to bring this same challenge, but did not. They are now saying that a arbitral body having found that the Port Authority is not king in Grand Bahama cannot lord over you in Freeport, Grand Bahama. They are saying that that's not money well spent. What that's saying is they would not have spent the money because they don't care to have that finding, because that's the only way that you have that finding. And so it is very telling that Marco City, East Grand Bahama, thinks that the money spent to have a declaration that the government is still sovereign in Grand Bahama is not money well spent. I don't, if I were in Grand Bahama, I would tar and feather them right in the center of town.
I want to ask you about the relationship moving forward. Obviously, this is not the Grand Bahama, the Hawksbill Creek Agreement is in place certainly until 2054, as we've been hearing. How do you think? Do you think it's going to be a thorny, hostile relationship? And how does the government plan on linking hands again so that more can get done in a better, more perhaps more accountability, and what Freeport has been really calling for now for a good handful of years, for things to begin happening once again in Freeport? How does the government plan on saying, listen, yes, we the government, yes, you must answer us, all these things will go through us, but to also have a come by here moment with the Port Authority?
A come by here moment is a mutual thing. What the award does is say, this is what happens going forward. You have to pay what you owe them. And if they have a difficulty doing that, if they have a difficult relationship with the government, as a lawyer, I know that if you have a difficult relationship and you decide that it cannot continue, then you just go and work out terms of dissolution. If you're not married, that's just separating your assets. If you're married, then that's the divorce. The attitude going forward will be determined by the attitude of the Port Authority as they respond to the government. There is disappointment not on only on the government's part, but on the people of Freeport and Grand Bahama about the lack of, for want of a better word, productivity and delivery of the Port Authority as of late. And so that is something that will have to be reflected upon. Sometimes something just runs its course. This is the second generation, and maybe it's time to move on. That will be a decision for them.
And this is what
certainly.
That's exactly what I want to ask you. Do you think it's time now that that Hawksbill Creek Agreement, something called a Grand Bahama Port Authority that manages Freeport, that it's time that maybe that's looked into with a view of saying this has run its course?
That would be a matter for all parties. I'm not going to trespass into that, Shanique. What I can say is this. Sometimes it's a matter of personalities. You will look at a mechanism, and it might be that if properly executed, it can work quite fine. But when the execution stops being proper, then you may have to replace parties. Sometimes you have to revisit the agreement. Sometimes it's just a matter of replacing parties. Everyone in Grand Bahama and Freeport tells me that over the course of time, things have deteriorated, and that's for many reasons. It is time for there to be serious introspection, because the city of Freeport is very vital, and it affects the lives of Bahamians, investors, and visitors alike. And it is something that should not be the whim of limited individuals. And so what this partial award would do is say, stop, reflect. The government does have a right to reimbursement. The government is still the government. You as the Port Authority should reflect on whether this is a model that you are prepared to work with and that you are prepared to make work. If you're not prepared to make it work for the Bahamian people, then maybe it's time to move on.
Yes. Now, could this ruling, you feel, influence future public-private partner relationships between government and private sector?
I wouldn't say that, Shanique. What you have is this, and Prime Minister Davis has been quite clear. He is prepared to work reasonably with anybody who's working in the interest of the Bahamian people. And so once your partnership with the government is sincere, once it's in the interest of the Bahamian people, I am persuaded that Philip Edward Brave Davis and any administration he leads will work with you to advance the interests of the Bahamian people. As a business, if you get benefit from it, so be it, but it must benefit the Bahamian people. I've known the Prime Minister for over 30 years, and everything that I have seen about him and from him demonstrates that he is a man who is very focused. And when he gives you instructions, it's very focused. And his instructions with all engagements of this sort is that they must benefit the Bahamian people.
And now that we see the balance of power, as even the Prime Minister talked about this morning in the House of Assembly, has been well clarified, I would say, between the government and the Grand Bahama Port Authority. You began earlier in the interview. I want to give you an opportunity to speak to the people of Freeport and, by extension, Grand Bahama, about what this will look like for them moving forward.
The people of Freeport and Grand Bahama have a decision to make this year. And that decision is, do you stay with a man who lived with you, who clearly in this action looked out for you? Or do you change to somebody who says they live with you, but is always pulling for and siding with the people who you have decided is not in your interest? That's just very telling. I'm quite sure before they rolled out their statements, they could not have read the decision, but they were just gleeful that something had gone against the government, not realizing that that means something had gone against the Bahamian people, or maybe realizing it and not really caring because it didn't suit their political purposes. But the people of Freeport and Grand Bahama will have to determine who is really in their interest. A government who decided to invest and pay to establish that the Bahamas includes Freeport, includes all of the Bahamas, or a party, as you have said, who decides that it's not worth investing money to establish that the Bahamas includes Freeport. Everyone in Freeport and Grand Bahama, in Marco City, in East Grand Bahama, in West End, in Central Grand Bahama, has to make that decision. And I think the decision, in my humble opinion, the decision of this arbitral tribunal and the reaction to it shows that the obvious choice for Grand Bahama should be, in the election that must come this year, should be the PLP, and they should choose more progress, because this decision is progress.
Minister Monroe, before we really wrap up, I want you to put on your national security hat. I want to ask you about the prison. Earlier this week, it was said that only 2 of the 8 washing machines are working, that judges are saying the prisoners are showing up dirty and not quite dirty to court, and is not pleasing in the courtroom. Can the machines be repaired, or is this another bill that the Bahamian people will have to pick up?
Let me tell you this, Shanique. I've been going to court from the time I first came back from England in 1990. Prisoners came to court smelling funny. And that's just a fact. Since we've taken the chair, the prison has been in such a state that we've had to invest close to $200,000 in replacing the water system for maximum security. We had a serious sewer breach we had to fix. We had kitchens that were condemned. The plant at the prison is old and decaying, which is why we've committed to replace it. And the reality of it is that we continue to plod along with patches while we work to bring about full reform. And you see, this is more progress that is coming. We've started the virtual court to move on to the actual new prison, and that's progress. And so, again, this is something everywhere you look. And this washing machine is another issue, that we met decay. We moved to try to fix it. And we are implementing short-term, medium, long-term solutions.
What's the short term? What's the short term there? Like, who was picking up the dirty, soiled clothes to go take it where?
The short-term solution, according to Commissioner Players, they take it to the wash house.
Which one?
It's not very difficult. You take it to the wash house. I understand they've been borrowing parts from Superwash to fix the washing machines. And they're putting a procurement out in the procurement system that the FNM keeps saying that we have to use to procure washing machines. So we're abiding by the rules for short-term fixes while we build a new facility. But as I keep coming back to say, Shanique, and every time you hear me going forward, since what is in the air, I will point to the progress we have made and say to the Bahamian people that you have a chance to choose progress. And all you need to do is listen to the opposition, and you will see that all they are doing is criticizing us for not doing things quickly enough when they did nothing.
Minister Wayne Monroe, thank you very much. Minister of National Security, speaking on that tribunal partial ruling and arbitration that's been in the news from yesterday to last evening to again today, and many, of course, and all over social media, it's still really the hot button topic. And of course, answering the matter of the prison washers. You heard him say they wash you, press you, clean you. Superwash is handling business right now until things can be more permanently put in place. I thank you very much, Minister Monroe. Thank you for joining us this evening at the top of tonight's show. Well, don't go anywhere. Stay exactly where you are, because when we come back, it's Wednesday. You all know that. Somebody asked me, what is this, Shanique? I said, are you kidding? Temperature check. We're back right after this.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie Bahama here at Superwash, Superwash's newest spokesmodel, and I'm here to tell you about Superwash's large capacity washers and dryers for all your big loads.
I know I see that Charlie Banana coming here just now.
Luckily it's also big enough for me to hide it.
I thought he was right over here where these large capacity washer and dryers is. They're big enough now to handle your big loads, you know. Yeah, like your comfort on your blanket. But just look at us. Somebody forget to turn on the dryer. Oh, stop! You hear something? Yeah, that's the sound of clean. Superwash washes you, presses you, and entertains you 24/7.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
Hey, it's time to lock in your vote.
Your vote is your power.
With the new boundaries in place, you may need to transfer or confirm your voter registration.
And if you have never registered or didn't plan to vote,
don't get left out on one of the most important decisions of your future.
Make sure when election day comes, you're ready to say,
your say, your vote, your choice.
The race to 2026 is heating up, and the nation's voice is louder than ever. Here on Beyond the Headlines, we're checking the mood, the momentum, and the message of the people. I'm Shanique Miller. Each week, we're taking the temperature of the electorate to see what's really driving the nation. Who's connecting? Who's cooling off? What issues are heating up ahead of 2026? This is Temperature Check 2026, where journalism meets the nation's heartbeat.
.5 is turning 8 years old. 103.5 The Beat and Keep the Vibe Alive Music Group presents The Beat Fest. It's a Bahamian musical experience on March 14th at The Pond. Doors open 7 p.m. sharp. Performing live, Shine, Stevie S, Mama D, Veronica Bishop, Funky D, all backed up by the Pond Band. Hosted by Joe Cools, 1K Gaza, and Jess Mo. Music by 103.5 The Beat DJ. Tickets available now at all Beauty Shack locations. General admission, $30. VIP, $75. Get your tickets early. Spots are limited. Sponsored by Mazzari International, The Plug, and The Beauty Shack. And of course, 103.5 The Beat.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's great to have you all tuned in. The Temperature Check political spotlight turns to Killarney this week. It has long been a safe seat for the Free National Movement. However, the temperature and look of the constituency has shifted. The incumbent of 20 years and former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis is now an independent candidate. And that is where and why things are so interesting in Killarney. And of course, that's where we start. So welcome to Temperature Check. Good evening to my panelists, Peggy Candace, Gabrielle McKinsey-Ineas, and Michael Turnquest. I want to say that Michael is sitting in for Howard Johnson this evening because Howard Johnson unfortunately lost his mother. And so our thoughts and prayers are with Howard this evening. Michael, good evening to you. It's good to have you here.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Of course, good evening to you, Peggy, and Gabrielle. Good evening to you both as well.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. And I just want to take just a quick second to publicly send condolences to our colleague and on the passing of his mother and to his bereaving family.
I want to say, yeah. I want to say, if you both are okay, I can move on.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to just go and let everybody know and introduce to everyone the candidates in Killarney. It is one of those seats, and we predicted it early on. We just didn't know how it's going to become the race to follow. So here is the lineup for you. The incumbent independent candidate is and former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis. The PLP's candidate, Robin Lyons. The Free National Movement's candidate, Michaela Barnett Ellis. The Coalition of Independents candidate, Dr. Veronica McIver. And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. They're all on the screen, not necessarily in the order in which I call them. In fact, it's not in the order, but you all can recognize who is who. And so you all, as we normally do, let's start with the Coalition of Independents and Dr. Veronica McIver. What is it that you have discovered about her in Killarney? It is not her first time contesting that seat. She ran in the last general election. She again is the candidate and the standard bearer in this general election for the COI. What do you all know about her? How has she been showing up and is showing up in the constituency this election season?
Good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, Shanique. Thank you once again for having me. Well, I did my research, of course, with Dr. McIver. Found out that she actually lives in Killarney. She's a constituent of Killarney. She's also the Shadow Minister of Health for the COI party. She's the deputy leader. She has a YouTube channel where she does a lot of addressing national issues. I found a page with her. She talked about family and her career. But I was unsuccessful once again in finding information on a campaign that she's running in Killarney. She's one of those who actually have a social media presence.
So she's active on social media?
She's active on, I found a YouTube channel with a number of videos addressing national issues, but I was unsuccessful finding information or pictures and videos of her actually campaigning. I also found out that she's been active in Killarney for a very long time. And so I guess she is moving along those lines of being a constituent of Killarney and someone who has worked in Killarney for many years.
So Dr. Veronica MacGyver, a retired dentist, has been doing a lot of work. But before I go there, I want to put the disclaimer out, Shanique, if you may permit me.
Go ahead.
You know, last week, there was a little love-hate relationship going on.
We can get to Dr. Minnis.
So I just want to put the disclaimer out that tonight, the love-hate relationships are going to continue.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But the people that hated me last week may love me or may be a little bit indifferent.
Now
the people that love
I'm
me,
really intrigued.
And then the people that love me, I don't know, y'all may continue to love me, I don't know, but I'm just gonna deliver the news I have for you about Killarney tonight.
Okay.
And just know that I love you all back.
Jesus.
Okay, now what have you found out about Dr. Veronica MacGyver?
Now, on to the real news. Killarney, the most interesting seat, I believe, of them all. I think if we had a top three seats of interesting mixes, it would be Killarney. What we know, because there could be other independents that nominate on that day. So we're only assuming that this right now, as of today, is going to be a four-way race. I do not want anyone under the sound of my voice to sleep on Dr. Veronica MacGyver. I have been enchanted by this ad she's been running on the radio. It's been playing in my head. It's like almost like psychosis. She has been making her rounds. I actually on Monday heard her on the radio, very well spoken. She's been moving through Killarney. She's actually been on the ground for a very long time.
So she has been out campaigning.
She has been out campaigning, and that's what's going to win Killarney. So while we love the post and we love all these things, this woman has been touching people.
And she has a campaign song.
And she has a campaign song that it really jiggy. I ain't gonna lie, Dr. MacGyver, that song, I feel you on that. I feel like she could attract a lot of young voters with that. She is actually picking up a lot of momentum because she's been there longer, on the ground longer than even former Prime Minister. When I say that longer, I mean, because his hands was tied with some other things, she's had time. She was not a member of Parliament. She's had time to consistently be moving around, touching people. Dr. MacGyver is going to shock a lot of us and may end up in this, and when you see how it line up when we talk about the other candidates, she may end up polling better than a lot of people expect.
Michael, your thoughts about, and not really your thoughts, and of course, what you were able to glean about Dr. Veronica MacGyver.
You know, I've met Dr. MacGyver. I've known her. She's very active in the community. She's been a long-time standing resident of the Killarney constituency. She has been involved in a lot of activities around the constituency by far in terms of, just moving around, ensuring that certain things are adhered to, whether it be the last thing I think she is in the Westridge community, advocating for someone was actually clearing some land. So she's been very active, remains active in the area. One thing I think people don't realize is that the COI, and then all of the candidates are actually, I think, they're actually residents of the Killarney constituency. But, you don't realize, the COI had a candidate that ran the last election that got almost some 323 votes in the 2021 election, which was Ms. Sands. And she's also a constituent, if I remember correctly, a constituent of Killarney, who was very well known to the Bahamian public. And that was a good turnout. Being her first when she ran in 2021. If you look at based on those statistics, we can possibly expect that Dr. MacGyver might get, maybe more, maybe less, who knows? But I think that she may get more votes than the last COI candidate.
Well, okay, so there you have it, you all, the temperature check on the COI's candidate in Killarney. Now let's move to the Free National Movement's candidate in the Killarney constituency, Michaela Barnett Ellis.
Oh, okay. My findings of Ms. Ellis, a lawyer, mother, and of course a senator. For me, she was a surprise choice for the Free National Movement because they had several persons who were vying for that constituency. She is on the ground. She's been, since her ratification or before, she's been going door to door. She's been holding different events as usual for campaigning, and we will see.
Gabrielle?
The Free National Movement's candidate, Senator Michaela Barnett, has before her a mountain in Killarney based on my findings. And
did you do what you normally do? Did you
go in? Of course I do what I do.
Go ahead.
Of course I do what I do. And Killarney have some of the best spots to be in a little cubby holes.
Okay.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So there is a mountain to be moved in the Killarney constituency for the Free National Movement. We will get there. Candace. Sorry. We will get there. There is a mountain to be moved that she has to overcome. A lot of persons are divided on their decision in whether to support, and I know we don't like to talk about the other person, but given the circumstances, I hope you would oblige on whether to support the incumbent who won the seat 4 consecutive times under the Free National Movement banner, or to support Miss Michaela Barnett Ellis. You have persons who are now deciding between party loyalty, in that they support the Free National Movement base, or going with the former Prime Minister who has successfully been representing the constituency. Here's the thing. We have persons saying that this is a Free National Movement seat. But I want to reflect on a little bit of history, if you all would permit me. Dr. Minnis won this seat from the PLP's Neville Wisdom. Even leading up in that 07, I believe it was 07 election when he first won, Neville Wisdom still gave him a run for his money. So this seat has proven only to be a Free National Movement seat under one person.
Dr. Minnis.
Dr. Hubert Alexander Minnis.
Well, don't go there because we go into him.
I know we go in there, but I want sum this Michaela situation up.
Because I want you to tell me what Michaela has been doing in Killarney. How has she been showing up? What
Michaela
is the reception
came
to Michaela?
in with a lot of excitement. She came in with a lot of excitement. We talked about it when she popped a collar that day on the show. Nice. It was a lot of fanfare behind her arrival, but her arrival has been overshadowed with everything else that's been going on, and constituents are not focused on a lot of her campaign. She's been walking the grounds, she's been doing the work, but there's a bit of buyer's remorse that may exist in that spell.
Buyer's remorse towards.
You can go ahead.
I know I want you to go ahead. See, because you can't.
No. You just tell me I cannot talk about the next person.
Don't go to the next person.
We should have talked about them together.
No, we can't. Michael, what have you found out about Michaela Barnett, Senator, and her candidacy in Killarney?
From what I'm seeing, the Senator, Michael Barnett, she has a presence. She's been doing a lot of work in the constituency of Killarney. We seen the other day she opened a beautiful headquarters from what I can see. She's been hitting the ground. She's been, she has a bus out there. She's been doing her community events. And the social media has been there. But, based on, if you look at the statistics over the last 3 elections, in 2017, the former prime minister won, I think, because he was vying for leadership at that time. But in the last 2021, the last election, he only won over the PLP by some little over 500 votes.
Michael knew. That's why I'm going to be nice to Michael. If you run on again, Gabrielle, you're getting slapped live. Michael, let's just focus on, because we get into Dr. Hubert Minnis. Threats of harm live.
Threats of harm live? I'm going to have the contact
Michael, I want you all to say, how is Michael, because this a tight race in Killarney with four real viable options.
She is showing up. She has the presence. Her boots are on the ground. She's doing what's needed in terms of to run a proper campaign. You have 4 very strong candidates in one area. All are basically showing up, but Michael is actually there. You can see everywhere. She's everywhere on social media. She is a senator, so she has, the presence of the media as relates to showing up in the Senate and doing what's needed and speaking out in the Senate. So we have to say that she is actually a viable candidate, and she is doing the work that she needs to do in order to be a contender in this race.
Okay, so of course we have already looked at the COI's candidate, we have looked at the FNM's candidate, and now until they give me the cue for a break, we can start and then come back following the break. Again, they are the 4 candidates in the Killarney constituency. There is Senator from left to right, Michael Barnett Ellis, the COI's Dr. Veronica McIver, the Progressive Liberal Party's Robin Lyons, the independent former Prime Minister won the seat 4 times, Dr. Hubert Minnis. So now,
there you have it, Shanique.
There I have it, the cue to take a break, and then we go in. When we come back, we will look and see how Robin Lyons, PLP, is showing up in Killarney. And then, of course, what you all are waiting to hear, Dr. Hubert Minnis. What is Killarney saying about Dr. Hubert Minnis? We are back in a moment.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie Bahama here at Superwash, Superwash's newest spokesmodel, and I'm here to tell you about Superwash's large capacity washers and dryers for all your big loads.
I know I see that Charlie Banana coming here just now.
Luckily it's also big enough for me to hide it.
I thought he was right over here where these large capacity washer and dryers is. They're big enough now to handle your big loads, Yeah, like your comfort on your blanket. But just look at those. Somebody forget to turn on the dryer. Stop! Damn! You hear something? Yeah, that's the sound of clean. Superwash washes you, presses you, and entertains you 24/7.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
Hey, it's time to lock in your vote.
Your vote is your power.
With the new boundaries in place, you may need to transfer or confirm your voter registration.
And if you have never registered or didn't plan to vote,
don't get left out on one of the most important decisions of your future.
Make sure when election day comes, you're ready to say,
your say, your vote, your choice.
The race to 2026 is heating up, and the nation's voice is louder than ever. Here on Beyond the Headlines, we're checking the mood, the momentum, and the message of the people. I'm Shanique Miller. Each week, we're taking the temperature of the electorate to see what's really driving the nation. Who's connecting? Who's cooling off? What issues are heating up ahead of 2026? This is Temperature Check 2026, where journalism meets the nation's heartbeat.
.5 is turning 8 years old. 103.5 The Beat and Keep the Vibe Alive Music Group presents The Beat Fest. It's a Bahamian musical experience on March 14th at The Pond. Doors open 7 p.m. sharp. Performing live, Shine, Stevie S, Mama D, Veronica Bishop, Funky D, all backed up by the Pond Band. Hosted by Joe Cools, 1K Gaza, and Jess Mo. Music by 103.5 The Beat DJ. Tickets available now at all Beauty Shack locations. General admission, $30. VIP, $75. Get your tickets early. Spots are limited. Sponsored by Mazzari International, The Plug, and The Beauty Shack. And of course, 103.5 The Beat.
Fox Foundation proudly presents the keynote speaker for the
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's good to have you all tuned in. This is Temperature Check Wednesdays. And listen, we are zeroing in, doing the temperature check on the Killarney constituency, a constituency that's been trending all day. I don't know where people got it from, but boy, they just decided they were going to put a poll out there. But these set will determine what that poll is. And of course, at the end of tonight's discussion, we will determine where Killarney is leaning. And so we've already went through the COI, we've already gone through the Free National Movement, and now Peggy Gabrielle Michael, the Progressive Liberal Party's candidate, Robin Lines. How is she looking in Killarney? She kind of is perhaps, I would say, the last one to kind of, really kind of get in there. But how is she looking? How is she showing up? What has she been doing in Killarney so far?
Okay, Miss Robin Lines, a lawyer, former senator, amazing human being, advocate for women and children, mentorships. She's just been publicly available to women and children. Just ratified as the candidate for Killarney. I mean, with the excitement was just over the top from the PLP. She is on the ground. I think she, as she's been the last to be ratified so far for this, she is making up ground. She have a lot of grounds to cover, but she is well able to do so. And so I think Robin Lines, the PLP is going to stand by her in Killarney.
No, but what has she been doing?
On the ground, door to door. She's been having meetings. She's been introducing herself. She attends church service, the regular stuff that a candidate is doing in this season. She has been grilling chills. Like I said, the regular stuff, but it will all be determined later on as this campaign, there will be a separation. We will be able to see that later on.
So my findings about attorney Robin Lines, as she also recently hosted something in, I believe, the West Winds community, which I was told by residents that had a really good reception there, that Miss Robin Lines she's opened an office in the Sun Fun Plaza, West Bay Street. She has a website, and this is what the persons, and I made a little bit of notes because it was a lot. She has a website where people will be able to say in real time what their concerns are. She's been doing feeding programs for youth and the community for over 15 years. So she is not new to service. She was newly ratified, but not new to service. She's been serving the community and her community for a very long time. She has been around politics. She is not a novice. And as I've been made to understand, her predecessor is 100% supporting her.
Yes.
This is powerful.
Duncan.
Give me the first
Senator.
name. Senator. What's the first name? Why is it evading me?
Ronald.
Thank you so much, Cass. He is 100% supporting us. So guess what? The ground we're thinking that she has to make up has already been made because the PLP base does not shift in Killarney. If you look over the election cycles, and I like to bring data into this, a lot of people think that these are emotion-driven spewts. They're not. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the fact. The PLP base in Killarney has not moved, while the F&M's numbers has fluctuated with Dr. Minnis, and due to this situation will fluctuate. The PLP's base has not moved, putting Senator Robin Langs, was she former Senator Robin Langs, in a very good place, the place you want to be in this election. And guess what? She's fair. She came out with tenacity, and she has the guts and the gumption to stand up in the face of opposition, even in her own party, when she defended, I want to remind the viewing public, where she defended Senator Michael Barnett Ellis against statements that were made against her. She's a member of the CWIL, I believe. She serves as either president or vice president of that, advocating for women's and girls' issues. So she is a powerhouse of our generation, and I believe that she will do well and will do good things. I'm done.
Michael, your thoughts on Robin Langs?
You know, Shanique, like I always tell people, you know, Ms. Langs doesn't need any introduction. She's a very popular PLP within the party, and she is one of those persons with that type of personality. Wherever she goes in Killarney, that being the local watering spots, people will gravitate. She has that personality where people comes and just they speak to her. She's very open, which is going to put her ahead in terms of getting, you know, whether it be bringing some votes cross over to her, but she has a very, very strong chance inside Killarney. Killarney has been in those constituencies where, you know, the F&M, the only time that the F&M has won, you know, considerably by a large number is in 2017 when Dr. Minnis ran for leadership. So, I mean, she is one of those who is, I think, one of the leaders right now in terms of in the Killarney constituency, you know, with her personality, with her know-how, and a lot of people know her. She's very well known, and she is knowing her, she's going to beat the ground bad throughout Killarney. And, you know, that's what's going to be. You know, social media isn't going to win this thing. You know, and I've not seen her on social media as much as some of the other candidates. The boots on the ground, just how, you know, some of the past candidates would have done it back in Killarney. Killarney is one of those where, you know, you go, you meet, and you tell people your plans, what you have planned for certain communities throughout Killarney, and that's what wins the voters over in terms of getting them to vote for you.
Okay, well, there you have it. So now let's move on to the incumbent. He has won the seat 4 consecutive times. Former Prime Minister and present Member of Parliament, Dr. Hubert Minnis. What have you all discovered about Dr. Hubert Minnis? How is he showing up? How is he showing up as an MP? Not just this term, but since he's been elected, that keeps him being re-elected.
Dr.
You know,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Michael.
Go ahead, Michael.
No, I mean, everybody knows Dr. Minnis has been, you know, I think his leadership was rejected in 2021, but he's always been accepted as a member of Parliament, especially in his constituency. He's always known for doing innovative things. He was, you know, in his younger days, he was kind of setting the trend in terms of what an MP should be doing and how you do it differently and how you show up and put up. And, you know, he continues to do that. I think that's what a lot of his constituents respected about him. You know, I think in 2021, you know, his leadership style is what people just were not interested in anymore. But of course, him showing him as an MP, he has always done an excellent job in Killarney. He's always been, you know, stayed in close contact with his constituents. Now, him being an independent, you know, are people going to say, hey, we're done with the party politics. We're going to now vote for the person and not for the actual party. Do you think Killarney is one of those constituencies where they can make a decision like that? I think they can, because a lot of persons in that particular constituency do not want much. They don't need for much. They don't need to come to their MP saying, I need this, I want this, I this, that, the next. They're just looking for community, social things of that sort that brings communities together and things that they can socially do within where as though, it's a well-knitted community where as though persons are, I am thy neighbor's keeper.
Peggy?
Yes, Dr. Minnis has established himself to be a great Member of Parliament serving in Killarney for 20 years. Dr. Minnis has now rebranded in my sight to reach and connect with the younger generation of voters in Killarney. And he's created a fabulous presence on social media, especially TikTok. He's also going door to door in Killarney. The truth of the matter is Dr. Minnis is disadvantaged by the split from the Free National Movement. He's been disadvantaged, in my opinion, because this will show whether the residents of Killarney appreciate good representation or they love their party more than good representation. Because to compare the two candidates that came out of the Free National Movement, there is no comparison. Senator Michael, comparison to Dr. Minnis in his service in Killarney is flat. DOA, dead on arrival. She will not be able to compete if people love good service instead of loving their party. And so this has complicated the matter for Dr. Minnis, but I think Dr. Minnis is holding his own. Like I said, if we had the Dr. Minnis that we have today, I don't think he would have been voted out. He's more personable, available to media, available to people. And so he has been able to rebrand, and he's competitive in Killarney. And I think the race will be between him and Robin Lyons.
Dr. the Most Honorable Hubert Alexander Minnis, Member of Parliament for the Killarney constituency, who has served 4 consecutive terms, duly elected, effective 2007, underneath the Free National Movement's banner. He has won the seat from the Progressive Liberal Party's Neville Wisdom and has successfully served as a Member of Parliament since that time. He has now formally announced his independent run come election 2026. So, let's talk about Dr. Minnis, because y'all thought that's what y'all was getting. Hey,
That's good, good question.
We gotta get some entertainment, okay? Dr. Minnis has been a phenomenal Member of Parliament. We are not disputing that. His representation, we are not disputing that. The members, listen, let me not speak for me. I'm speaking for the persons that I've spoken to in Killarney. They are not disputing the level of representation that they've received from Dr. Minnis. Dr. Minnis ushered in, during his time, some of the most technological advances we've seen in medicine, which include in health, which include telemedicine. He was the front runner for that, for the Bahamas, leading the Bahamas through the most difficult and challenging of times. I believe, along with a lot of the residents of Killarney believe, if he had been running this campaign that he is currently running on social media during the election, telling the story and had prepared his troops, he would have not been in the seat that he is in now. Now, with that being said, I do not believe, nor do the people that I've spoken with, even some that are supporting him, there are people that are supporting him, due to where Dr. Minnis sits, he will not be able to maintain Killarney. It's simple math. He would have to drive out and run up a new base of voters that have matriculated into Killarney. Dr. MacGyver, and I'm glad we've talked about all of them. Dr. MacGyver is there. She's going to pull those persons who would have supported the COI in the last time, and I believe she's going to increase that number. Senator Michael and Dr. Minnis are going to share votes. I mean, it does. Stevie Wonder himself can see it. There are people who are still confused, and you cannot blame them.
Confused about what?
Confused about whether they want to support Dr. Minnis or the person that the Free National Movement, as they've supported him for 4 consecutive terms, that's 20 years.
Yes.
Underneath the F&M banner, were they supporting Dr. Minnis enjoyed? Here's what we have to take in. Dr. Minnis enjoyed votes of people that were loyalists to the F&M as well. You have to put that into consideration. Similarly, Michaela will be affected by some of those persons who have decided that, yes, we support the F&M, but we love Dr. Minnis. That is going to take away from her. In a 4-way race, because we're wrapping this thing up, this is going to poll in favor for the PLP whose base is unmovable.
Unmovable, unmatchable.
It is simple.
So then, okay, so and you all already kind of answered the next question. So so overall, what you're saying about Dr. Minnis tonight?
What I'm saying is he's been a great MP. I'm not certain if he will nominate, because he still has time. I'm not certain if he will do it. He still has time as he assesses data coming in, because people change their minds all the time. We thought election was going to be in the following year, and it was in September.
We have to keep in consideration that there's about 500 to 600 votes every election that has voted either DNA or split between the DNA and COI. So there's roughly about, I would say, 500 to 600 those voters that sit on the fence and can go either way, or they can go COI, they can go Dr. Minnis, and that right there can cause an election.
Yes. Now, Michael, you jump in very quickly. How is Killarney leaning right now tonight? PLP, F&M, COI, independent. How is it leaning in your estimation?
In me being around Killarney and certain places that I go, a lot of people are still rocking with Doc. I mean, you hear it a lot around.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
And yeah, I've seen a lot of people. They're still going with Doc. And that's just he's a tough cookie. He's not a pushover.
Gabrielle, how is Killarney leaning right now?
The cookie is gonna crumble because right now, at present day, if you call an election in Killarney, it's leaning PLP with Robin Lyons.
Peggy, how is Killarney leaning right now?
PLP, if Robin Lyons maintain what Mr. Downcombe had in place, 1,948 votes, and the F&M votes are split, it's a number thing. Robin Lyons will walk away victorious.
Well, there you have it this evening. So that was 2 PLP, 1 independent in terms of where Killarney stands right now. Temperature check is, listen, it's getting hot. You all see this, how this needle is, where is it? How this needle just got, it's over there. It's getting pretty hot, I'll tell you this. Listen, I hope you all enjoyed it, because I know that people in Killarney were glued. You understand me, y'all?
Yeah.
Glued to their televisions, their online streams, all the rest of it. We'll revisit. I thank you all so much. Of course, at the top of tonight's show, Minister of National Security, Wayne Monroe, and then, of course, the temperature check crew. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, to Howard. Michael, it's good to have you here this evening. Peggy and Gabrielle, thank you as well. And a big thank you to all of you, your participation, you're pushing the show out there. Temperature check, they love it, y'all. Let's keep it coming. I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening.
Even in Jamaica.
In Jamaica?
Yes.
Hello, Jamaica. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening for the entire Beyond the Headlines team. I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.